sometimes if it's non-numerical, maybe that's useful. For example, if you have a column that says buggy or no buggy, sometimes they don't say 0 or 1, they will say buggy in string or no buggy in string, right? So for those you want to keep, right? Some data like this, like component and the subsystem, so for sure we don't need these data, right? So they're not important. So basically, the first you want to remove all these component and subsystem, right? So you go back to my script. Basically, so this two lines basically helps you to drop things, right? So anything that you want to drop, this is the line, right? So you put the string of the column that you want to drop in the array. So in R, if you see say C, something that means it's a vector. Basically, it's an array, right? So you put the names that you want to drop in the array, and you say from the data, I want to make sure the names of my data doesn't exist in the job array, right? So if you don't understand what's going on, just raise your hand as soon as possible. Okay? So we'll go very slow today. Okay. So after this line, you should remove whatever is in the job vector. Yes.
What about just some rows have non-numerical data?
Okay. You need some rows, right? So
yes.
Then you put it in here. So you have a comma, right? So after the comma, that's called this is row.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so if you want to verify what are the columns in your data, the command is names. So if you say names data, they give you all the columns of the data, right? So names actually give you all the columns of that data frame. So now if you want to verify, okay, so all these lines are in my scripts, right? So if you don't want to just type this, copy the scripts from my. So I'm looking at the script week 11. So yeah, so if you want to verify whether the things are gone, so we do another summary of data. So the numerical ones are, the categorical ones are gone, right? Okay, so now you have a cleaner data. Right, so you can start to answer some questions, right? So I'll go to the sample questions we have here, right? So the first one. Do files with post-release bug have higher complexity than files without post-release bug? Okay, so who can tell me what analysis is needed for this? Who knows? Question 1.
The correlation.
Who knows? Okay, yeah. So when you're trying to compare two distributions, you use statistical test. Yeah. So statistical test basically compares two distributions, right? So you want to think first of all. You want to think: are these comparing? Right? It is comparing. Right? So it is. You have files with post-release bugs, and files without post-release box. And the question is, which one is higher with complexity, right? So you compare the files with post-release box with the files without post-release box, right? Make sense? Okay. So now what you need to do, basically you need to do two data, right? So one data is file with post-release box. Another piece of data is file without post-release box, right? But now what you have is you have a file data that's mixed. So now the data here, if you see post bug, right? So some of them have bug, some of them don't have bug, right? So now you need to make a subset of this data. So one subset is the data with post bug, one subset is the data without post bug, right? Okay. So this is the one we cover in the very early of the course, right? It's here, right? Okay. So do you do a subset? I'm just too lazy to type. So basically, you do a subset. So subset basically means you take a subset from the data. Okay, so before we do this, so if you want to know how to use any command in R, basically you do a question mark. Okay. So if you want to know how to use subset, question mark subset. Sorry. Question mark subset. That tells you exactly how to use subset. Okay, with examples here. Right? So all these are available to you. Okay. So basically, yeah. So you do a subset. So now you want to have the data that's with bug, right? So we call the data with bug. We subset the data, and the criteria is the post-release box bigger than 0. Okay. So if you want to, so then you take another subset, basically are the data without bug, right? Without bug. Then you need a post-release bug that's equal to 0. Right? Yes?
Sir, for that one, can we use the which command and we say which data has the column 2 of more than 0?
Yeah. Wait, this is the same. So it doesn't matter what command you use, as long as you get the data. You can even manually. Okay, so if you want, you can manually open Excel, then sort. I don't care. As long as you can give me the result, right? This is just my way to do analysis. If you want to use Excel, I'm okay. Okay. So in your exam, if I ask you this same question, you can just say, I open Excel, I sort it by number of bucks, and I copy paste this to this file, copy paste this to this file. And I do then I just directly do a t-test in R. You do another load the data in the two data frames and you compare in R. I'm okay, right? So I only care is whether you have a way to answer the question. From what way, it doesn't really matter, right? Your managers won't matter, won't care, because as long as you can give them the right result. Okay. Everyone following me? Okay, so now you want to know whether the so what did I ask? Complexity, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to know whether the complexity of the data with and without box are which ones are higher, right? So if you want to compare which one's higher, which one's lower, what do you use? Yeah, so use either t-test or Wilcox test, right? T-test asks you the data to be normally distributed. Wilcox test do not have any requirements on data distribution, right? So you want to confirm that your data is the data normally distributed or not. So the easiest way to do this is basically you do a summary on the data. So basically, yes, data complex. Yeah. Okay. So actually this data is very close to normal, I would say. So normally what you do is you compare the median and mean. Right? So if the median and mean differs a lot, that basically means so if the median and mean yes.
What is the lot?
What's the what?
The difference. You said that if it's a lot, what is the threshold for that?
There's no threshold. But based on this, I would say this is very close to. So there's no. I don't think there's a big right and wrong. Okay. And if they're very close, if it's very close to normal, then your t-test results and your Wilcox results will be very similar. Right? So when you answer the questions, that should give you the right answer. Okay. Yes.
Would it be easier if we just plot it?
The what?
If we just plot it as a histogram to see like.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do next. So basically, you plot as a histogram. Right? Okay. So when you plot as a histogram, actually you can see some outliers here, right? So basically, that's give you maybe after seeing this, you may want to say, okay, so maybe Wilcox test is safer. It's safer to use because you see these outliers. Because this is you cannot ignore this, right? This is a little bit higher, right? But by looking at this, if you say, okay, so this maybe this is closer to t-test, I'm okay.
Can they use QQ now?
QQ plot, yes, you can use QQ plot. Yeah, but so I'm not gonna ask any. So I'm not gonna require anything that I didn't teach in my class. Right? So all the answers can be answered in the techniques I taught in my class. But if you use other techniques and you give me the right answer, I'm okay. All right. So basically, so now, okay. So let's say, okay. So based on this, let's say, okay. So let's try t-test, right? So t-test is basically t dot test. Then with bug. And with okay, so you see the p-value is here, right? So the p-value is 0.8. That means the difference is not significant, right? Okay. So if you use a Wilcox test, what would they say? So Wilcox. Wow, interesting. So Wilcox test actually tells you the difference is very big. Yes.
Actually, I got the error running this t-test. It says there are not enough X observations.
There are not
enough X observations.
observations. So maybe you may want to see your, okay, so you may want to verify your data. Maybe you type something wrong here. So you want to do a summary. So after you do the subset, you want to do a summary. Okay, so you want to do a summary on your subset data, right? Yes.
What kind of a p-value is considered?
0.05.
Uh,
0.05.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can I ask you about please?
The what? Okay. Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir.
Uh,
Yeah.
So the p-value for this one,
For which one?
for
Wilcox?
Wilcox.
Yes.
What's that W?
I don't know. No, honestly, I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, you can check. You should say somewhere here. What's that W value?
It's okay. How about the alternative,
Huh?
the hypothesis? Can you discuss it a little? Because I read it in the internet, I wasn't able to understand it.
Okay. That's gonna take time.
Oh,
Okay, so
it's okay, no need, no need.
So basically, okay, so basically if I ask you, is A higher than B? Normally you would think there are two options, two answers, yes and no. There are actually three options. Yes, no, and I don't know. Right? So if you want the alternative answer of yes is not no. The alternative of yes is no and I don't know. Right? So you set a threshold of p-value of 0.05, that means if it's lower than 0.05, you consider as a yes, because that's a stronger probability that you are right. But the other way, so for example, if it's 0.06, right? So it's not 0.00, it's not 0.05, less than 0.05. Can you say they are the same? You cannot say they are the same, just because you do not have enough confidence to say they are not the same. Okay, you get this logic? Okay, so I think those are more like too theoretical. I think to actually use this technique, you know if it's 0 and 0.5, then you know for sure. Well, you know this is your threshold, right? You know I can consider that as a for sure thing. But if bigger than that, you cannot say anything. Right? If it's not significant, you cannot say the opposite, but you cannot say anything, basically. It's basically like in court, are you guilty? So if you are not guilty, that doesn't mean you didn't do the crime, just because we don't know you're guilty. Right? It's the same logic.
And if it's like near the threshold, that's the I don't know.
No.
No?
If it's above the threshold, it's you don't know.
No.
Okay? So anything that's above the threshold, that's you don't know.
And in the exam, for the p-value, you will tell us what threshold to...
Always 0.05.
0.05.
Yeah, so that's the basic. Okay, so basically that's the common thing people use. Huh? Sure. But well, if you really understand what's that 0.05, it doesn't really matter if you include the 0.05 or right. So you just yeah. Okay, so if we know they are different, so what's the next? We want to know how big they are different, right? So we use the effect size, right? So. Okay, so why do we use clip D? Because it's not normally distributed, right? Hmm?
With them. For me, it's good.
Huh?
It's good.
Effect size.
Library. It's a library.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, so they give me an effect size of median, right? So you want to know what does the effect size says? Basically, question mark effect size, right? It tells you what the effect size tells you, right? So now it tells you that they are different and the difference is median. So we'll do another one. Basically, we'll do a lines of code. Okay? So first we'll do a summary on the lines of code.
Professor?
Yes.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat how to interpret this result from EN?
Basically, this is what you need.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And this is the value of the effect size.
So what does it mean?
That means if the difference is this, the difference is median.
The difference between those two is median.
Is median.
But which one is higher?
First one.
Or first one?
Why?
Huh?
Why the first one?
Because the library,
And
the library coding.
and this is predefined, right?
The what?
Predefined.
The threshold, the medium, like the medium, large, whatever. That's predefined. Yes. So you don't need to remember the threshold. So the library will tell you the threshold. Yeah. So we'll do another one. We'll do the lines of code. That's easier. Are we good?
We don't have to know
The what?
the meaning of INI.
That's the confidence interval. So basically, you say the effect size is 0.442, and 95% of the chance is in this area. Because everything, this is stats, right? So everything is estimated. So you do not know exactly for sure that the effect size is this, but this is more like an average effect size because it takes samples from the two. Okay.
So basically because of this, because the difference is median, then we can answer yes to the first question, right?
Well, if the p-value, okay, so if the p-value is small,
Yeah.
if the p-value is smaller than 0.05, you already can say yes. It's basically say yes, they are different, right? And now which one is higher and how big is higher than the other one? That's the effect size tells you.
Okay.
Okay, so there's several things that in real life it sounds the same, but in stats they are different. Are they different, or so they are the same and they are now different? They're two different things, right? We are not different doesn't mean we are the same. Okay, we are not different just as we don't know we are different. It can be we are the same or we don't know. Right, so there's that, and also there is we are different, but our effect size is very small. That's different from we are the same. Okay, so we're different, but where effect size is very small. It's like we are indeed very, very, very different. Sorry. We are indeed different, but the difference between us are super small, right? You can say, so every time I'm 1% or 0.1% higher than you, but I'm always 0.1% higher than you, right? In that case, we are different. We're for sure different. The p-value will be very small, but the effect size will be super, super small. Yes.
You mentioned that if the p-value is small,
Yeah.
then we can say, well, actually, if its p-value is greater than 0.5,
Yeah.
we don't really need to
No.
calculate.
Exactly.
this
So
value.
if the p-value, okay, so if the p-value is bigger than 0.05, that means we don't even know what's going on. Everything is uncertain. Right? We don't know we are higher than you or we are lower than you. If we don't know if we are lower than you or higher than you, then it makes no sense to measure how big I am higher than you or lower than you. Okay, so only when the p-value is smaller than 0.05, then you can say, I'm confident that I'm higher than you. So now let's measure how higher I am than you, right?
Okay, so if the p-value is smaller than 0.05,
Yeah.
we don't need to go to quick delta test. We just say we don't know.
Exactly. Well, basically, you can say there's no evidence to say they're bigger and smaller, right?
So there.
So
it
for
means
this
nothing.
one,
Huh?
So it means nothing to use Cliff if you got a very high p, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if your p-value is bigger than 0.05, then do not run any effect size. Because basically that just means the noise is too big. So everything you observe may be due to noise. If everything can be due to noise, then what's the point of measuring it?